So what about the companies who have kicked the can down the road? They're still trying to catch the bus. What are some things you might recommend for them to, sort of jumpstart their compliance efforts?
Well, first, I'd say get a subject matter expert. Get someone, get an external resource that's had experience doing this. Come look for people like us who've been doing this with a lot of people. Find those subject matter experts and those with experience that have been doing this for the last few years. There's a lot of information that we've learned. There's a lot of do's and don'ts that we've picked up on it. Because if you're deciding to go it alone, you might be okay, but what you're going to do is spend a lot of time, and take a lot of missteps while you're trying to do it. I mentioned, it's great. You can go copy and read what everyone else has done, and you can read everyone else's experience. But even if you intend to run a project yourself or think that you have enough internal resources to manage that yourself, the best advice I can give to you is to go get someone who's been through this, who's been through the process, been through the adoptions, and understands what could happen and what kind of impact it's going to have on you. And I would also caution that, again, if you're one of those clients that only have a few leases, you could probably do it and survive and do just enough. But if you have, like a lot of our clients do hundreds of leases, that's going to require quite the investment of internal resources. And if you haven't started that process yet, or even if you've just begun that process to be compliant here in 2022, you've got a lot of catching up to do and not as much time. You have less time than you have work to do. And if you're expecting your internal, accounting and reporting teams to take care of all the monthly closes and quarterly or annual closes, and deal with auditors and all the other day job stuff they have, and in addition to that, do the standard, it's going to be quite difficult. Because it's not just like, the last couple of big standards the FASB is implemented with 606 and 842, the revenue recognition and the lease standards have both required quite a bit of work. And in both cases, they've substantially changed processes. This is going to change the way you lease equipment, the way you look at how you lease real estate and equipment and other assets. So I'd advise you, yes, get someone who's been through it and prepare for a lot of work. And just so you know that your internal resources may not be enough in order to do that and adequately keep the wheels running it.
Right. And, I've heard it personally myself dozens of times where clients will come to us and say, we thought we could do this on our own and we wanted to, but frankly, it's just too much work. We don't have the bandwidth to do it. So a lot of the times it just comes down to bandwidth. A lot of times it could come down to just pure experience, and bringing in an expert, like you mentioned, really just helps with that learning curve, which is great for organizations.
Yeah, because you get the benefit of all the work that we've already done. You get the benefit of bringing in an expert who's already done all of the technical accounting memos, who's done all the write-ups, who's taken people through adoptions, who's, so there's a lot of startup cost that you have when you try to enter into this sort of venture on your own from scratch. There's a lot of investment sort of startup costs, and understanding the standard. How does it apply to me? Bringing in someone who's been through that, who has recommendations, who has advice, and who's seen, all the good and the bad that comes with, the adoption. We've seen clients, that are very, very good and very adept and we're ready for it. And we've seen clients that, like you said, you're kind of like the people that used to come into their tax preparer at the end of the year with a box full of stuff and say, here, tell me how bad it is. And so we can still help you with that, but just be prepared.